Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Building Wealth with Life Insurance. Again, my name is Marcella Mullen Williams, and I am joined with Mark Mullen, co founders of Legacy Builder Group, where we help individuals build wealth with purpose. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Acquania Escarne. You're going to hear her story, and I'm excited to have her on. So, welcome, Acquania. Mark, let's have this conversation.
Awesome. Well, what I want to do first is just do a little bio, a little introduction for Miss Acquania Escarne here. So I had the privilege of working with her as a client first, and was just blown away by her knowledge and her experience, and more importantly, her need to provide education to others as well, family, friends, anybody off the street. She's just willing to pour information into them. So it's made perfect sense that she's now in the financial field. And just to give you a little bit of her background here, so let me introduce here Mrs. Acquania Escarne. So, beginning her career as a diplomat in the U.S. Department of State in 2008, while serving in the port of Prince, Haiti, Aquania realized how many working professionals, including her own colleagues, were not prepared for an emergency or unexpected life events. Now, the devastating 2010 earthquake demonstrated that even high income earners oftentimes did not have sufficient life insurance, proper estate planning, or savings. Their experience inspired Mrs. Scarney to work more closely with professionals who have the potential to build generational wealth with the right guidance and support. Today, Aquania is a financial coach, hotel owner, podcast host, and life insurance producer, just to name a few. She is committed in helping people find financial freedom and build wealth. As a financial coach, she equips her clients with out-of-box financial tips, debt payment plan, retirement planning, and so much more. With her advice, clients are able to exceed their financial goals and professional goals as well. So, Aquania, thank you so much for joining us, and please
Yes.
share with us and our audience your journey, your experience that led you to being a superstar in life insurance and everything that you put your hands on.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think you summed it up really well. I worked with you as a client and I really liked your energy and the enthusiasm that you had to help me and my family. And the rest is history. You actually inspired me to get my license and really use that to educate others so that I could have a certification behind me to help promote the educational side of financial literacy, which I think is always important and an excellent way to help people. But I personally got into real estate investing as well and leveraging life insurance because my husband and I decided to use the cash value in one of our policies to start our journey in real estate investing, getting our dream home, helping my mother in law get her home, and purchasing an out of state rental property all in 1 year. So 2016 was a very busy year for us, but it was one filled with opportunity and definitely got us on track to build a real estate portfolio that we are proud of. So, I since then have been sharing this story because I feel that a lot of people don't understand the power of life insurance and the power of leveraging life insurance to help you meet your immediate or long term goals, especially when it comes to leaving a legacy. And I've been really proud to be able to do that and explain life insurance in a way that makes sense because there's just a lot of information out there, and some of it is just not even true. So, being able to be that voice that presents the facts about life insurance and allow families to make the decision on what's best for them has been a very important thing for me. And it's allowed me to serve people in a way that matters.
Mm, that is so powerful. And I mean, so much of what you just said resonated with us and what we've been talking about in this series, which is, of course, why we have you in here today. I mean, one of the things, and we're going to go back and touch on, again, a bit more of what you're doing, how you're doing it. But just to remind the viewers about why we're bringing this to you, this is not just a discussion about life insurance and getting life insurance, so you don't have to get a GoFundMe account, or all of those conversations. But this is a conversation about legacy. And as we've been defining legacy is how other people experience your existence, how they will experience your existence. And using life insurance, I think in your story, what you just shared, Aquania, it's so apparent. I mean, you talk about you and your husband coming together to build this legacy using life insurance. You said it was your mother or mother-in-law?
Mother-in-law, my mother-in-law. She needed a permanent place to live, and rents were going up and up and up, even before the current housing crisis. So we had the foresight then to know that we needed to create a permanent solution for her, and hopefully one that she can leave to us. So helping her now, and then eventually allowing that property to go into the family's wealth in the future was the goal.
Yes. And if that is not a way for someone else to, your mother-in-law experienced your existence on this earth benefited
Mhm.
her. That was an impact. And
Mhm.
without your presence here, that wasn't guaranteed. It was no guarantee that she would have had the help that she needs. And I think that's what we really want people to understand, how this powerful this tool is in this way. And as we're calling this episode, using life insurance to fund your financial legacy, you're such a good example of that, and all that you're doing for your family, your children, your two beautiful sons, all of this. It's just such a powerful story. So we definitely want to go into a bit more and allow the viewers to see how your existence is impacting your family in such a way. So one of the things I want to find out about you is really you have a legacy mindset, and that's huge. In our business, we come across people all kind of mindsets, and we know that having a legacy mindset is important. Again, understanding that you want to, again, have people experience your existence while you're alive and after you're gone. So tell me, where did that come from for you? Like how did you, because you are different in a good way. You're different in a good way.
Oh man. So where should I begin? No, I'm just kidding. When I was 16, actually, that's probably where it started.
Okay.
My dad gave me a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad as a birthday gift, and he just said, read it. And I was like, okay. My dad's a man of very little words. So when he tells you to do something, you do it. He's also a vet of the military, right? In the army. So he's like, gives orders, you execute, and then you talk about it. So I read the book from cover to cover. I really think it was my first personal finance book that I've ever read. But Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki really presented for me possibilities. It presented to me why it's important to own, why it's important to pursue businesses and wealth, and just to not depend on one stream of income. And I decided after reading that book that I wasn't going to work forever. So before there was a financial literacy or um, retire early movement, a FIRE movement, financial independence and retire early movement, I wanted to retire early. And I actually took some of the advice in the book and I executed it. I got a summer job and I was a cashier at a clothing store. I decided to use my first paycheck to open a Roth individual retirement account. And then from that point forward, I didn't have a lot of money, but when I did come into birthday money or I saved my coins all year long, I would then make additional contributions to my Roth IRA until I could get my career job and make consistent contributions. So I always tell people, that really helped me create discipline, also an understanding of saving and investing at an early age. And I still have that account. So I'm really proud of the fact that although I don't contribute to it as much now due to the rules regarding contributions to Roth IRAs, I did consistently contribute when I could. I maxed it out when I could. And now I'm allowing that money to continue to grow for me. And that was just the beginning of me thinking about how can I do more for myself and for others, because for me, that money would equal freedom. That money would equal time. And that's what I wanted to focus on, even at 16.
Well, okay, so at 16, you're thinking freedom and time. I'm trying to figure out what is that why? Like, why is it that at 16 you weren't distracted by the immediate gratifications and all that was the clothes and technology? Like, why was freedom and time so important? What was going on in your head?
Well, I knew then that I loved to travel. I'd already traveled by 16 to a
Okay,
foreign country, and I knew I wanted to do that as much as possible, as often as possible. So
got
I
you.
knew that a typical 9 to 5 employee can't travel that much, right? They might have 2 weeks of vacation a year, and that's it. And I said to myself, that's why I can't work forever. I was definitely a supporter of getting a job and leveraging that income to build even more wealth and doing it quickly. That's probably why the first 7 years of my career, I did a lot of saving and investing, and was able to amass quite a bit in just 7 years. But I knew that in order for me to travel the world and live the life I wanted to live, work had to be optional. And that's what kept me motivated. I know it's crazy. And I don't want people to think like she's an exception, because
Right.
again, I only invested the first paycheck. The other paychecks that summer, I put towards the car that my mom helped me get. I put towards gas, but I was still frugal. I mean, at the end of the day, my first car was literally 1 year younger than me, and but very well maintained. And I contributed a whole $1,000 to get it. And I knew then that like I had to pay for insurance, I had to pay my cell phone bill, so there were other responsibilities I had. But I knew from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad that paying yourself first was like really important. So that's why I took the first paycheck. And then
Mm,
after that, I just did what I could. You babysat, you have 25 extra dollars, let's make a contribution. You save $75 in coins. I remember the year that I saved $75 in coins, my mom helped me roll them. Like, we
oh,
just sat
wow.
down in December because we had taken the change from all year, and we rolled coins together, talked the whole time, and took them to the bank. I was just like, this is money and you're going to take it. So
I love
it,
that.
it's
You know,
just a
there's people on this
determination.
call that's not even going to know what you're talking about when you say rolling those
Oh,
coins.
yeah, yeah.
They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
The
So
machine.
back in the day, you
Yeah,
used to
back,
have
yeah,
to
you have to roll them and then
actually
plug then you fold the
roll
ends up.
coins. Yes.
Right. You have those coin count machines.
Yes. I didn't have a coin counter though, but they do have those now. The coin counter was me and my mom.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at that quality time, you guys. You can't,
Yes.
I mean, that's
Mhm.
something money can't even buy. I mean, you got to combine money and quality time. So
Yes.
that's good.
Facts.
That is, so
You know,
you,
Akwana, you
oh, go
said
ahead.
something that Marcel and I touched on either in our last episode, but the fact that you were very task oriented, like you knew without a doubt at the age of 16 or probably even earlier than that, you wanted to travel. And
Hmm.
so everything you did revolved around traveling and freedom. Freedom was still in there, right? So,
Hmm.
so when I hear you say, "Well, I didn't want to work full time," like that had to be optional. Not to say you're not working, but very task oriented. And look, I haven't known you since 16, but since I've known you, you've been very dedicated to what you
Yes.
are passionate about, what you have manifested, and the direction that everything else falls into. So that's a testimony of how drive and really laser focus in what you want really comes into play, because you are an example of that. So when you're talking to your
Mhm.
clients, and like you said, you're not an anomaly. No, you've gone through it, and now you're taking your experience. And I've witnessed this and sharing it to other people. Say you can do it too. Here are the steps. So I just want to elaborate on that piece, because again, it's very important for everyone listening and watching that you have to know what you want and be very clear and precise. Because Aquania, I know when you say you go on a trip, well, you tell me exactly what it looks like before you even seen a picture. I have a picture of what it looks like in my head because you're so detailed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you follow your
absolutely.
Instagram and just tell everyone, if you see her on Instagram,
Right.
the girl knows what she wants and is doing it.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. At the Purpose of Money is where I share not only just wealth building tips, but also my journey, my family, my story. And I do love to travel. It is evident people have actually sought to travel with me now. It's a growing wait list of individuals who are always want to be in the know of the next destination. So I've made my family into travel bugs. I've made my kids into travel junkies. I tell you, they love it. We love it. And we love to do it together. And I'm such a family oriented person. I'm an only child, but you wouldn't know it because I like to spend time with all these other people all the time, which is opposite of my husband, who's one of four, and he's totally okay with just our immediate family going somewhere, but we always turn it into a village. So that's been fun, but that's also been, a part of my legacy for my family is creating memories that they will never forget. And so when I get the alerts on my phone that, oh, 2 years ago you were doing this, or a year ago you were doing that, sometimes I share those with the people who are on a trip and they're like, oh my God, that was so much fun, or that was priceless. And that's really what I do for, right? Like, I want my
Right.
kids to see the world. I want them to know other cultures and experiences. And so my kids have had passports since they were babies. And I've made a point to travel, except during 2020, several times a year. And that has been a legacy that now my kids like to do. My oldest is always asking about the next trip, and he plans out what he wants to eat on that trip. And he
Oh
also
yeah.
is a foodie like me. So,
Those
so
crab.
crab legs, lobster. He's a fan of it all. He's a very expensive taste for an 11-year-old, but that is a part of my legacy too. Is the memories I'm creating with my family.
Hmm. Yes, those incredible experiences that, yeah, it's priceless. And I think that's powerful. So, so when you started, you said, 2016, 16, you were 16, 2016. I'm loving it. Okay, so 2016.
Oh, I never noticed that. I did a lot of power moves at the 16
Mhm.
part.
So tell us about 2016. So again, you were a client with us. Then you branched out on your own, but there was this period, again, we had the life insurance policy. Did you know that, when you first started looking at life insurance, or when you first got life insurance, when you actually first got a life insurance policy, were you aware of all that it was capable of?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, but not fully. So my first financial advisor, who this is for all the married couples out there or future married couples, but a year before my husband and I got married, we started to interview financial advisors. And we made a really good point to make sure we found someone that could get us on the same page, because I was like super into personal finances and my husband was like, I'm fairly new to this. I know to pay my bills on time, but everything else is a blur.
Can we
So
pause for
we,
1 second,
yeah.
because you interviewed financial advisors? Can we just really pause just for a moment? I just want to make sure that the listeners really hear that it is your decision. Like, you have that power to, you get to choose. Please listen to Quania, interview financial advisors. Okay. This is important. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I just had to.
No, it's true. But we did. We talked to different people and we decided who we wanted to work with. We picked a person who could educate us both and be a good third person in the room if we didn't agree. So she told me about the power of permanent life insurance at a young age, being very healthy and being able to put money that we could afford aside into a policy that would earn more money while it was sitting there. And we literally did everything like clockwork or automatically for years. Another good book that I'd read at the time was Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. And that book really taught me how you can set it and forget it, literally, put your
Mhm.
wealth on autopilot. And so, between the insurance and the investments that she'd help us set up, we had a really good understanding of what we were trying to do. We had set goals together as a couple, and we just literally like paid into that plan, right? Month by month by month, until one day we looked up and we were like, wow, how did we get six figures in savings? And what's the next thing for us? And just really understanding that. And that's when we decided together that, hey, why don't the next thing be investing in real estate? And we had a really good opportunity because my job had a job for me in Dubai to move abroad for 3 years. So in the 2012 to 2015, we lived overseas. We had our house rented and we had free housing in Dubai. So we were able to really save what we would have paid in a mortgage for 3 years and leverage even more money when we got back. So I really do think it was planning, it was
Mhm.
timing, and it was education. Those things combined helped us make the best financial decisions for ourselves at 2016, and also gave us the opportunity to leverage other things later. Because, yes, I'm a hotel owner, but I did that in 2020. It took several years to get to a
Mhm.
point in my finances where I could make investments like that. But it was because I started at 25 that I was able to give myself options. So I always tell people, what you save and invest today is just giving you options tomorrow. And that is invaluable, right? Because look at all of the things I've been able to do because I made some smart decisions a year before I got married.
Yeah, I said planning, timing, and education.
Yep.
Education.
Yes.
And I can't help but to go back to the focus because you said something that we've all run into when we're working with clients is that they have an opportunity where they can save, like your example, a mortgage for a year or two. Too many people are taking that free money that they're now saving and they spent it. But again, when you understand what your purpose is, what your drive is, what you're trying to accomplish, you don't look at that as free money. You look at that as now this is an opportunity. So if you didn't set that money aside and you just incorporate it into your lifestyle, you wouldn't have the opportunity that you had today. So you created the opportunity by putting that money aside. So this really shows the power of that legacy planning, right? So the opportunities that have presented itself to you goes right back to what is my purpose? What is my
Mm-hmm.
drive? What is it I'm trying to manifest? What is the legacy that you're creating for your family? I mean, your children are watching you and they're seeing you and they're like, okay, now I know what to do, right?
Right.
And your little
Yeah.
twin, he's gonna follow suit.
Yes. Yes.
He's
My
definitely
mini me. Yeah.
he's taken over.
Hmm.
I love that you said set it and forget it. And you set up that system there. And I liken it because there's been so much research done, and most people know by now that I'm a behavioral financial advisor, and studying the behavioral part, there's so much research done on what really impacts investor behavior, financial behavior, money behavior, all of that. It's just behavior in regards to how we handle our finances. And there are so many biases that we have, there's so many ways that we get in our way. And when studies are done, they show that the people who are most successful are the people that set it and forget it. The
Hmm.
people who know how to just allow the money to do what it needs to do, and you do what you need to do instead of getting caught up in everything that's out there, everything that every news person, every blogger, every social media influencer, financial social media influencer says is the next thing to do and how you should handle your money. Whenever you get caught up in these behaviors, because we feel like we need to be doing something, we always feel like we have to be in control. So it really becomes an issue of control. But when we can tap into and say, nope, the money will take care of itself. Let me become educated, plan, follow the right timing, educate myself, and then let it go. Then that's when we see the most amazing results. And you just kind of said it right there. And your life is a living testament to that, that you understand how to set it, forget it by planning, utilizing the right timing, and continuing to educate yourself, which is what you do. So I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful. And I know, I'm sure you're a forever student, right? That's what I call it myself, a forever
Yes.
into that.
Yes, I'm always reading. My favorite books are financial literacy books. Even if I already know what's in them, I still like to read them. And then now I'm much more into nonfiction development. Like I'm always learning, but I've definitely seen a change even in what I choose to read. Like I protect what I put into my mind,
Yes.
and I only execute the things that make sense to me. So there's a lot of people out there who have extreme ways to make money and things that you can do, but if you don't understand, then you shouldn't be doing those strategies, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I always say if you can't explain it to me like I'm a 5 year old, then you don't understand it enough. And if
Yeah.
I don't understand it, I'm not going to do it at all. So,
Yes.
That's
Great
such a
point.
good point. That's such a good point because there are one of the things I really like about the strategy of utilizing life insurance for legacy plan is that there are vehicles out there that can give you great rates of return, but there's more risk associated with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to look at your risk tolerance and also how diversified you are. But when you have a vehicle that will allow you safety against, market volatility, but yet still give you upside potential, then what you're doing is really diversifying, all of your assets. So for example, I'll come back to you, Aquania. You've dived into actually owning residential properties, and now you've transitioned out of that because you're hands off, say forget it, right? So now you're into the hotels and syndicates and so on. But at the same time, as much as you are shifting over there, you still have your life insurance policies and other investments that work in opposite movements of the housing and real estate, right? So when we're looking at being aggressive and you want to be active, that's fine. But what is your hedge? What is your backup in case those investments don't go out the way you want them to? Not to say that you're not going to get a return at all, but maybe they fall a little short. Well, what do you have to back up against that? What are your hedges for that? And this is
mhm.
where the legacy planning, utilizing life insurance, can also be added bonus to diversify your overall assets.
Absolutely, I agree. And that's why I tell people it is a part of the plan, right? It's not the only plan, it shouldn't be your
Exactly.
only tool. It is one tool in the toolbox. And if you're managing your risk, i.e., the day I might die and I least expected it, then you have to have life insurance in your plan. Regardless of the type and what you believe in, it should be in your plan. But you'd be surprised how many people still don't have life insurance, or they only have their work policy. And that's definitely not enough. I mean, we've seen in COVID and beyond that you can lose your job at any point. And when
Yeah.
you lose your job, you lose your benefits. And so now you had a life insurance policy, you had a plan for what would happen to your family if you died, and now you don't. That's why we shouldn't leave our legacies up to our employers or anyone else for that matter. These are things we do have in our control. And I definitely think it's important to talk to a professional about your plan, your goals, what you're trying to do, and really prepare yourself. And it's true. I have retirement savings, I have investments, I have real estate, I have life insurance. I have more than one way to leave a legacy. But I'm teaching my kids about all of it because I want them to understand how to handle it when they do have it. And there are ways to teach kids about money without telling them the details of your money, right? And I think that's really important. And my oldest son has definitely grasped the concept. And he's able to even give me ideas on how to teach people on social media because he's a kid trying to explain it to another kid. And I'm like, that's the way I need to explain it to adults too.
Yes.
Yes. I love it. See,
Mhm.
I love that because he's contributing already, and kids feel that. Like when they can feel like it's like almost like you're creating or developing the ability for him to identify his purpose. You know,
Exactly.
it's allowing him space to have a voice, knowing that he's valued, and that is powerful. I mean, he's already becoming a part of the family business, which I'm sure you've had him in some ways
Yeah.
long before
Yes.
that, even if it was
Mhm.
putting stuff in some envelopes or something. But it's so important to be able to do that. So I wanted to touch on, your entry into commercial real estate or the hotels
Mm-hmm.
and how you got into that and tapping into, with your life insurance and all of that. So tell me about that time in which you decided, hey, okay, let's go in this direction, because I'm sure it may have been scary. I don't know if it was a bold step or not, or maybe we're like, oh no, it's part of the plan. It's all good. I don't know.
Time and opportunity once again. So I will say, 2016, when we decided, oh, we're going to get into real estate, we used the life insurance to just get into 3 properties in 1 year. And leveraging rentals was the plan initially. I got into investing to provide affordable, safe housing. And I had a plan that if my tenant wants to buy the house, I'll give it to them because I wanted to create homeowners in the long run. Well, you have a plan and it doesn't always work out that way. So, the rental in Philadelphia, for example, it was well rented for a few months, and then the tenant started to experience financial difficulty and was not able to pay the rent. Found ourselves facing an eviction. And I will tell you, an eviction was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had as a landlord. And I hated it. I thought it was terrible what I had to do, but I couldn't let them live there for free. And I'm not the one getting paid because that's not beneficial to anyone involved except the person who's not paying. So I got the realities of the other side of being a landlord and had to evict someone. And unfortunately, at a time when you know that they made choices because the rent was never paid at Christmas. And then the first time that happened, we let it slide because in January they did catch up. But the next Christmas, when it happened, they never caught up. So I had to make a decision to do what most landlords have to do when someone's not paying, and that's pursue an eviction. So a few months later, we got another tenant in there. Had to make a few cosmetic changes to the home due to what the previous tenant did. Got another person, great tenant, paying on time. Said they wanted to buy the home. They love the house. It's their favorite house ever. Then they had financial difficulties. Worked with them because I understood that, according to them, the wife was pregnant and she was put on bed rest, so she wasn't working as much. So we were even more flexible in that case because we totally empathized with what they were going through. But then never able to catch up. So after a few months, we found ourselves about to face another eviction. And I told my business partner at the time, I was like, I don't think I can do it. Like, I just don't have that in my spirit. And I reached out to the property manager and I said, look, can we just sell this house to another investor or someone who's interested in buying a home? Because I cannot do another eviction. And they said, yeah. And they found somebody within a couple of weeks. And that somebody was more than happy to pay us the value of the home and then some. And we got out of the rental business. And the only reason I still have a rental now is because the tenant's happy. They keep renewing the lease and they don't want to move. So I'm not going to force anyone out of a rental, but I'm not pursuing them actively anymore. But that experience I still value because it taught me what I like and what I don't like about real estate investing. And it showed me what I'm willing to do. And most people would have been discouraged. Most people would have said, oh, real estate investing sucks. I don't like this. I don't want to do it anymore. But I was like, what can I do and not have that experience? What can I do that's passive? What can I do that requires capital but not my time? What can I do that doesn't even require me to have the emotional connection to the people, right? And I know that might sound terrible to some people, but if you are emotionally involved, it's harder to make tough decisions. So I
Yes.
have to pursue investing where I don't make the tough decisions. So that's what when I did my research and I asked around, and believe it or not, multifamily syndications was what I learned about first. And I put money aside in that case, I leveraged retirement funds because uh, in COVID, you were able to take money from retirement and do different things. Some people used it to live. I used it to invest in real estate, but incurred no fees or penalties because I just put it into another retirement account that allowed me to invest in real estate because there are different types of retirement accounts. And I was waiting on the right deal and it never came, to be honest. And the people that I wanted to invest with couldn't find a deal either. 2020 was like terrible for multifamily syndications. The numbers were bad, they were really hard to find, and they were really overpriced. So I found myself in a position where I had this money, didn't have anywhere to put it as far as an investment was concerned, and it was sitting in a retirement account. So I just patiently waited and I continued to ask, how else can you invest in real estate? I used my network to ask the question, and people around me just started answering it. One person was like, "Oh, you can do hotels." And I was like, "Really? I don't believe you." Literally. I was like, "Tell me more, but tell me more on my podcast." So I actually interviewed two women on my podcast, The Purpose of Money, to talk about investing in real estate. And so episode 26 is all about investing in hotels specifically with your friends, family, like a collective. And I thought this was such a good idea. And I wanted to get to know these young ladies better that I got on their email list. And I just was like, maybe they'll come up with a hotel opportunity, or maybe I'll just become really good friends. Like I wasn't expecting anything out of it. But literally a month after they were on my show, they sent an email about a Hilton opportunity. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Read it over. I looked at the potential returns. I talked about it with my husband. And then I said, you know what? The money that's not going to go to an apartment syndication is going to go to this hotel deal. And the rest is history. I did that investment. And that was just the first of many, but it sparked my interest into investing in hotels. And I'll say a year later, because it's all about timing and patience, I finally did do an apartment syndication, but it took a long time to find the right one.
Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, such a great story. There's so much to that. I wanted to touch on the fact that you didn't give up after the real estate, because that was
Mm-hmm.
such an important point right there. You sought, what can I learn from this? You were like, okay, what do I want? That is such a powerful learning experience to be able to use something that supposedly went wrong and say, okay, let me use this experience to determine what I like and what I don't like. In your case, you said, okay, I don't like this. I don't like evicting people. It does not work with my spirit. It's not the way I am set up. And you said, okay, so this is not going to work for me. What will work for me? And we all are going to come across that experience, and we all consistently will come across things in which we're challenged. And to be able to pause and ask yourself the question, what do I want? What don't I want? And dig in deeper and to find that thing. And because education is important to you, timing, planning, you just kind of see how that consistently flows with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, all right, what can I learn about myself, first of all? And then what can I learn about the markets, opportunities, all that's involved there? So I really want people to get that lesson from what you said, that part, because it's crucial. I know a lot of people don't even want to go into real estate investing because of the headache of being a landlord. And that's understandable, but it doesn't mean, like you just showed, that there are other ways of doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you come across situations in which you don't like the way something is done, then ask yourself, well, how can I do it different? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
how can I do it
And if I
different?
Yeah.
can add to that as well, because I've had the opportunity, several opportunities to witness, Quania sharing with her clients. she doesn't discourage anyone from what they want to do, even if it's something that doesn't align with her spirit. So if you want to manage properties, go for it, as long as you understand the pros and the cons and everything. So even though, Kwani, your experience was not aligned with your spirit, it doesn't mean that it's not for everyone. It just has to be for the right purpose, for the right person. So I love the fact that, like Marcella said, you know what you didn't want, but in that, you knew what you wanted. You still knew you wanted to be in real estate. Something else that I just want to touch on real quick, I thought was so important, and this is just a me thing, and this is probably why we work so well together, because I love the fact that you said when you went to real estate, you wanted to create housing opportunity for other people.
Yes.
I cannot express how powerful that is, because when I hear people say they're going into real estate, well, why? Oh, I want to make money. Okay, but what are you really trying to do, right? How are you trying to make a difference in the world? If we want to look at it in a much bigger scheme. And that truly is a testament to who you are, and why you're so passionate with education, why you're so willing to help. Because in everything you do, your core values are always present. So yes, I'm going into real estate. Why? Because I want to be able to give back. Yes, you want to make a profit. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're still helping. That's the precedence of why you're doing what you're doing. So again, I just wanted to come back to that for a moment, to help people understand that don't do things just for money, because then you're going to be struggling, or you may not never have enough, because money is your end goal. But really have a purpose that's bigger than the money itself. What is
Mhm.
it the money will allow you to do, or what is it the investment will allow you to do? So thank you for sharing that piece, and illustrating that specific piece, because I don't think a lot of people get that when it comes to real estate.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and or they burn themselves out chasing that money too, just to the
Exactly.
point you just made there. And so
Exactly.
I love that you said that your values come through, and we one of the things that we do is go through a process in which we help people identify their values, and it's just so wonderful how your life, how you operate, is a great example of why we go through that process. When you can be clear on what your values are and begin living by them, you can see how opportunities unfold for you. And I think it's because there's clarity. When you're crystal, and it keeps going back to when you're crystal clear on what you want, because
Hmm.
they're tied to your values. And when you have that clarity, opportunity pops up, and there's clarity to plan without distractions. Timing makes sense because you're patient. Like that part where you put aside the money and
Yes.
you waited. Like that was so powerful, because even Mark mentioned it earlier, a lot of us, money burns in our pockets. Like, it's like I gotta
Yes.
do something. And again, it's our needs, our mental need to feel like we have to do something. We have to be in control, because we just don't feel like we're in control if we're just waiting and allow, just knowing that there is a timing, there's a process, there's a time and a season for everything under the sun. And it may not be the season for you to jump into something right now, but just wait. And when the opportunity presents itself, you have the clarity of mind to be able to seize it. And that, I thought that was so powerful. Again, such a powerful part of your story, because that is something we each need to have, is that patience to operate in the right timing. So, and it's like, you can look at it like, oh, she's lucky. Well, the saying, luck favors the prepared. And
Mm.
so
Mhm.
that's where I see so much of it in you. It's just like, wow, you're planning, time. I'm going to keep bringing that up because I love it. Timing, planning, timing, and education.
Education.
You were wondering, in that time, in that season in which you were waiting, you educated yourself, not just in books, but in the resources of people around you. You used the knowledge of others to educate yourself. You put that feeler out there. And because of your clarity and what you want, you weren't just going to jump at anything, because you know what you want. And when it showed up, it felt right. It just
Mhm.
It felt right. So I like I said, there's so many great points there, but I really want people to come away with planning, timing, and education.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's the key. I don't make a lot of spontaneous decisions when it comes to money or big purchases, so I'm constantly planning. And I have a bigger plan too. Like my goal is to invest in one deal a year if I can, and have my deals staggered on when they sell or when they pay out, so that I'm constantly having money come back into the home that we can reassess and decide what to do with it next. So I'm being very strategic in everything that I do, and I've timed it in a way that's going to allow my generation, next generation, to have that constant opportunity flow, because the money comes in, but then you have to do something with it. And
Exactly.
you can keep investing in real estate for a really long time and really have some favorable tax advantages. So that's the plan. But it may also be available for something else. It just depends on where we are at that time. But I have a plan for the investments I have now, and I have a plan on when I want to acquire more and how frequently. And all of that is kind of what I'm living by. And I make adjustments. Sometimes there's hiccups and you have to delay, but I have a blueprint to follow per se, and I think that's what's really important.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful, and just knowing that again in this conversation about life insurance, how that played such a pivotal point in it because you educated yourself, you
Mhm.
found out what this tool, one of many tools that you have
Mhm.
in your kit, but you find out how this tool can give you the jump start that you needed for your family to
Mhm.
experience the impact that you could have in their lives. So it's not just your family experiencing your impact. It was the tendons that you had intended originally
Mhm.
to make an impact in that housing situation. Now, the people that you are in partnership with are experiencing your impact through
Mhm.
your podcast, the
Yeah.
audience members, the guests. Like you are a living legacy, and you are just a shining example of that. That's the other thing I want people to get out of it. This is what it looks like. This is what we're talking about when we say legacy, a living legacy, the power of that. So we do have to get past any ideas of, oh, it's the Hamilton version of planting a seed in a garden that you never get to see. That's not what we're talking about, as I'm a Hamilton fan. Um, that's not what it's about. We do get to see this. We do get to see the beautiful flowers. We get to see all the beauty that comes up in this garden because we not only plant the seeds, but we water them, we nurture them, we make room for the sunlight by all the things that we do and being able to exist in a way that impacts so many people as a legacy builder. So thank you for that, Aquania.
Welcome.
Excellent. Yeah. So, one thing I want to add as well is just, we talked about family, the co-workers and the partnerships. And again, I want to go back to your clients and how what makes all of us, but since we're talking about you specifically, Kwanya, what makes you unique is the fact that you strive on that education. When we go back to the three components of your model, education is important. And you provide the same thing for your clients. So when you're talking about legacy, when you're talking about real estate, when you're talking about investing, you make sure that you're not just telling them, but you're giving them the information so that they can ask the right questions. And I I've seen someone ask you one question and you'll answer that question and five others that they didn't even know they wanted to ask. That's just so they don't realize how much bonus they're getting with you, by asking one. But that's just who you are. So when they leave, they're just like, oh my gosh, I learned so much. And I've witnessed that time and time again. That's like, I've gotten so much out of this meeting. And the more knowledge they have, the easier it is for them to make a non emotional or limit the
Mhm.
emotion and more intellectual decision, which can further propel their financial goal and their legacy. So, again, it just shows the character of who you are, and that translates in everything that you touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as we wrap up, is there, anything that you want to share, leave the audience with that they need to know?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to hear more of my story and the story of other entrepreneurs, please check out the podcast, The Purpose of Money podcast, on all major listening platforms. Check out my website, www.thepurposeofmoney.com. I'm having a life insurance Leave a Legacy challenge, September 26th to the 29th of this month. So I definitely want you to check it out. You can register on my website and also on Instagram. I'll have the link out, and you can sign up for 3 days of learning what is life insurance, how to build a legacy mindset, and how to leverage life insurance to invest. So we're going to cover all of that in the challenge.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And I highly recommend you all jump on that opportunity. And
It's
don't miss the
free.
time. It's free.
Forgot
But
to
don't miss
mention
the
it's free. Yeah, it's free.
Oh, you don't have a choice now. Everyone
Right,
get
right.
on it. Okay. No excuses.
Free, people. So I really appreciate it. Mark, I don't know if there's anything else you want to share before we close out.
No, I just want to thank Acquania for taking time out of your super busy schedule to join us today and everything. And, we're all like-minded. It's the reason why we're working together. So I was thrilled that you took the time to meet with us and share your story that, we're familiar with, but not enough people understand the journey and how all of us have a mission to really help our clients pursue their true purpose for money and achieve those goals with education, with science, with academics. Let's leave the emotions aside and let's really focus on what we want to do. So thank you, Acquania.
You're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
excited, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today with you guys.
It's our pleasure. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us for another episode. Make sure you stay tuned for our final episode in this series for Life Insurance Awareness Month. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us, follow Acquania. You can visit us at our website as well at www.legacybuildergroup.com. In any case, stay tuned for some more information as we share with you how to build your legacy with life insurance. We'll see you next time.